Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you for being with me again today. Today's video has to do with an article mentioning a few words. One is Steve Bannon, the other one is former Vice President Mike Pence, and then disgusting coward. That's all you need to know. Now let's read the article. It has to do with Steve Bannon calling Mike Pence disgusting coward, and we have to find out why, right? This article comes from The Insider and from today, August 18, 2022. This is the title. Steve Bannon called Mike Pence a disgusting coward after the former vice president criticized calls to defund the FBI. Now, Bannon, an ex-White House chief strategist, called Pence a, quoting, disgusting coward for the remarks. Bannon's insults, says this article, this Matthew Loch is his name, the author of this article. He says that Bannon's insults show how far Trump world is willing to go in attacking its former close allies. Now, needless to say, Mr. Loch is a weasel, and I will tell you why. So Mr. Bannon says insults. Well, when is an insult? When you call someone a name, what if the action matches the definition? Can you do that? So let me give you an example. So this guy says that how far the Trump world is willing to go in attacking. So let's say we have a pedophile. We would all agree that a pedophile is a pervert, right? It's perversion, it's out of natural from normality. It's a deviation from normality. That's the definition of perversity. So if someone is doing something abnormal that most people don't do, that's a perversion of reality. That's pervert. Now, a pedophile is a pervert. Or a criminal. You can call him a criminal or a pervert. That's a definition. Now, I'm sorry if you feel insulted, the pervert, or feels insulted, or the criminal feels insulted for being called that way, but his actions, yield or produce this term. It's not the term that was assigned. It's a bad term. Now, let's say the pedophile, this pervert, did what he does best in this case, and we disagree with his actions. He, sexually abuses, molests children. So then he gets, convicted, eventually charged, convicted, and pays the price and all that, registered in, in sex offender registry and so on. Now that guy is a pervert. Now I'm guessing you and I would be disgusted with a human being, an adult, abusing, let's say, a 5-year-old child, and performing anal sex on that child, right? That's awful. So we would be disgusted of what the pervert or the criminal did, right? So to say, well, I think that Mr. Jones, the pervert, Mr. Jones is a disgusting pervert, is that an insult? That's reality. It's the definition. It's the word that matches the actions, and it's your preference. It's your preference based on your values and preferences to be disgusted or be delighted about it. In this case, we are disgusted. So it's like you see, let's say, someone wearing a green shirt, and you say, the shirt is disgusting. That's my personal preference. I can have it. I don't like that, but that's a subjective thing. Here is not a subjective thing with a pedophile, because that's it's all clear and nice. So when this wizard, Mr. Loch here, says that Bannon insults Pence, well, maybe in Mr. Bannon's view, and maybe he makes an argument, Mr. Pence is a coward and is disgusting because maybe Mr. Bannon doesn't like cowards and cowards disgust him. Is that allowed? So that's not an insult. It's just what am I supposed not to say the reality? Am I supposed to function like the emperor has clothes when actually he doesn't have? What am I using euphemism here? Differently abled, instead of using real terms. Oh, that person is differently abled. He can't play basketball because he's in a wheelchair. Well, poor guy, differently abled, like can do things I'm not going to go into that. You know what I mean. So, Trump ally and advisor Steve Bannon eviscerated former Vice President Mike Pence on Wednesday for rebuking GOP politicians who called for the FBI to be defunded, in another example of, says Loch, of the widening gap between Trump world and Republican lawmakers who decline to take part in its rhetoric. Now you see what words it puts now. This Loch, I'm 100% certain he's a liberal, just because I want to be certain, okay? I don't want to leave it to 99. I'm telling you why. The words he uses for some, now he uses for the GOP politicians, he uses them regarding lawmakers. If he would be disagreeing with the Republican Party, he would use something else over there, you know, puns or whatever. And then it's a Trump world. So we know exactly what he wants to create here, a problem between Trump and the Republican Party, which there is a divide. Because who's one with Trump, not necessarily with the Republican Party. That doesn't go without saying. So I'm quoting Pence. You are disgusting. You are a disgusting coward. Just even the sight of you bugs me, Bannon said during his show War Room on right-wing network Real America's Vote. In a lengthy rant, criticizing Pence's productivity in the Trump administration, Bannon blasted the former vice, which is true, he didn't do shit, let's put it this way. Bannon blasted the former vice president with a series of insults, which included calling him a mindless, gutless simp. Mindless, he didn't give me the impression that he's very intelligent or whatever anyway. But anyway, at a New Hampshire event earlier that day, Pence said, and I'm quoting, "These attacks on the FBI must stop. Calls to defund the FBI are just as wrong as calls to defund the police." Well, how do you judge this thing? While he didn't mention any Republicans by name, some of Trump's most vocal supporters on the Hill, such as Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, Representative Paul Gosar of Arizona, Representative Lauren Boebert of Colorado, have advocated to defund, investigate, and destroy, quote-unquote, the FBI. Their calls were prompted by the Bureau's raid last Monday on former President Donald Trump Mar-a-Lago. Doesn't matter the way it was done, whatever. Pence also commented the threats against the FBI and condemned the threats against the FBI and said that the Republican Party is the party of law and order. In response, Bannon argued that the FBI raid represented the actions of a police state, which he said justified why some Republicans were calling for its dismantling. And I'm quoting, "There is no comparison of any defunding the police," he claimed. "We're never called for defunding the police. We're calling for defunding the police state." Well, but you see, Pence missed that, and Law wants to miss it. So the thing is this. I think he's right, Bannon, in a way that, yeah, you should be able to investigate what these guys are doing. That's one thing. And defund, I don't know, after you look into their actions, but I ask too much. I'm still thinking that this game is is fair or something. No, but I'm just saying how the world should be, okay? Investigate, find, and refund or defund or fund, extra fund, whatever you find over there, and find so on. Now, Pence. So I think it's the police state. I agree with that. That part, not the police per se. No, they are necessary to be over there. Corruption everywhere, even in households. There's corruptions and cheating and hiding and all that, lying. That's and so on. Here, Pence. When former President Trump appointed Pence as his running mate, I was like, who's this guy? He is a guy who is part of the establishment. He's one of the swampers. That's why I saw him. I have to say swampers, but he's one of the guys from the establishment. That's how I see him. That's why he picked him, so he can pull some strings. Secondly, Trump wanted to get probably the religion groups for his voting. He succeeded with Pence. Now, when you look at Trump, whenever Trump speaks and Pence is behind, you expect Pence to put his hand here, get a long knife, if you know what I mean, and stab him right there in front of everybody, or down there as Brutus did to Caesar, Julius Caesar. Remember in 15th March, I was about to say 1944, 44 BCE. So, in Senate and House of the Senate with all the other cowards. So here you have it. Pence never gave me the impression that he's very smart, and I thought he's kind of an extreme guy towards certain kind of beliefs, and he was very, very, very weird. But weirdness doesn't mean anything if you just appear. But to me, he was creepy over there behind Trump each and every time. I used to laugh and make jokes with my cousin about it, that like he's the guy that is ready to, you know, like the shot in the shades or shadow, waiting to do his job. That's how he always looked like, you know, over there. I'm like, oh my God, look at that guy. So I was just joking about it. So I think that about being coward, I know exactly why he said he was coward. Pence is going to be an establishment guy. He's not going to be a revolutionary or anything like that. So obviously he's afraid of FBI. He shits his pants, like because it can hit you whenever they want, however they want. So yeah, that is Bannon's assessment of him, and to a certain extent, I think it's justified. I remember. Here they had some problems with January 6th as well. That comes with a coward, that Bannon makes the connection over there and so on. But when he certified the elections and so on, probably Bannon has something with that incident as well, and probably that's why he called that guy. But history will tell. But as history is written by the victors, and we are not victors, so we're told what the history was, how it was, and our children will taught how it was according to the victors, the guys in charge, not with us. That's why sometimes you have to read certain books that tell you the alternate version of history. And one of that was, I remember I read, that it's a very socialist inclined, but it's from the workers' view, let's put it this way. It's by Howard Zinn, People's History of the United States. You have to look into it as being very, I don't want to say anti-American, but it shows you the different side of the history. Or you can read Arthur Schlesinger's, which is the approved U.S. The History of the United States of America, dated. It's about 500 pages. I think the other one is about the same, Howard Zinn's. Look into those and make a comparison on the same events, how could be interpreted in two ways. And obviously both of them are subjective. And you get to more angles to look at reality or the historical events. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.